Hey guys, and welcome if it's your first time here, and welcome back if you've been here before. And today, as of this recording, it is Starscream Wife's birthday. And I thought, what better way to kick off the celebrations than by looking at something momentous, something enormous, something titanic, when we look at this guy. It is Siege Countdown. Oh, and I guess while we're at it, we'll take a look at this big lad. This is the Siege Titan class Omega Supreme, and he's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and yes, I'm hidden behind this Titanic box, if you will, because this thing is huge. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. I'm so happy and so thankful that you're here today. Please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, that's right, please hit that notification bell because it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, Transformers, Collectors, NL, and the Autobot family, and have a look for me everywhere across social media. And this is one of those kind of 2-for-1 things. I said a little while ago, actually I said on the live show last week, that I was going to kind of look at Siege Omega really in two parts. This is going to be part one. This is the actual full review of Siege Titan class Omega Supreme and Countdown. We're going to grade him as we always do with paint apps, posability, playability, and articulation. No, paint apps, posability, playability, and transformation. Yeah, there we go. That's the three things we're going to measure it by. And we're going to determine whether or not this guy is guilty or innocent of the recent price increase that a lot of Siege figures underwent, most notably in terms of Deluxes, Voyagers, and Leaders. But here in Canada, though I don't think it happened in the United States, here in Canada, Titan class figures also underwent a price increase, going from $229 to $249.99 plus tax, of course, and I guess any other charges or shipping. It's hefty, and is this guy worth it? Well, we're going to head over to the table and find out. And so, of course, we're going to begin by taking a look at the packaging first, as we always do. And this is, as you would well expect, beautiful artwork. We always get gorgeous artwork when it comes for the boxes for Titan figures. We've been getting gorgeous artwork right throughout when it comes to the Siege line. This box is no different. There are several Decepticons, I'm going to say here, there's a couple more out here for sure. I don't know who they are. We could take wild guesses, but I'm not all about the speculation. That being said, I do want to note that over on this side, and I don't know if you're going to be able to really see it, but I'm going to try and show it. Over on this side we have the Ark, which I find very interesting in the background. On the top up here, a lot of people now have been very interested in recreating that scene from the top of the box. I get it, I understand why. If we turn this around like that, of course we have the product images on the back. We have Countdown down there. We see it in both modes. I mean, it is what it is. You can even see the Countdown can go fit up there. By the way, on this side of the box, it's just your usual Siege artwork. Now, that being said, we're going to take a look at his accessories next, but they're pretty minimal for the most part. In fact, they really only consist of blast effects that look like this, though it is gorgeously painted. I think that this is the plastic color and it's paint down along. It looks beautiful, and there's two of these, and this huge gorgeous monstrosity. It is really intended to peg into his cannon arm, but it can separate into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate blast effects pieces. I think that's really impressive. We get nice, clear, huge Siege instructions. They're nice instructions. The other side shows a lot of the features like opening compartments and where you can place the blast effects. Of course, my favorite part of these instructions is the good old stats. And his cannon arm is immensely powerful with a very long range and highly accurate. His grabby claw arm, that's also immensely powerful. It's even more accurate and its range is about the same. And last but not least, we have his it's the cannon on the back of his head, but I assume it's supposed to be his tank turret in reality. And it is supremely strong, supremely accurate, and not quite the same range, but still a good range. This guy is a walking, talking arsenal, but I think we already knew that about Omega Supreme, didn't we? That being said, though, Omega's not the only character in this package. No, no, no. And so we begin with Micromaster Countdown, and this little lad harkens back, of course, to G1 Countdown, who looks like this. And that's right, you can see that they're very similar, very true to form, but the new one has a lot more beige on him for some peculiar reason. Now, that being said, he is every bit as functional as the original, maybe even slightly more so. So getting the G1 out of it, let's not waste any more time and take a quick look at this guy. He rolls all right, I guess, okay. Not spectacularly, I'll say that, not spectacularly, but all right. He does have a little peg down here on his chest that can come out, and apparently he can like peg into Omega's shoulder as like a satellite dish, and pretty much it's just his vehicle mode. That's a satellite dish. I don't know. It's not good. It's not good. Don't do it. But in terms of being a Micromaster, he's pretty typical, I suppose. To transform him, we bring his radar dish, I guess, up over his head. We flip out his legs and bring them down. We untab his arms, though they'll kind of come untabbed anyway, and bring them down, and we stand him up like this. And here he is next to his G1 counterpart again. And so you can see here what the paint scheme is like. I'm going to say overall, in terms of being a rendition of Countdown, it's about an 8. I mean, it's pretty good. I don't understand why there's beige here when the guy's supposed to be like kind of silver and white, but whatever. I like the beige. Maybe the beige was meant to tie into the beige of Omega Supreme, and that's all right too. In terms of the transformation, it's pretty much the same transformation as the G1, where you fold down the legs and you kind of bring the arms out. The only difference being that you split the legs on the Siege one. So I'm going to say 10 for his transformation. And then the articulation. The original could get in a seated position. His lower legs are 2 separate pieces, and his arms can go all the way around. And his radar dish can kind of tilt forward and back. With the new Siege one, the radar dish does the same movement. The arms, however, unfortunately, can only get out that far. Like, there's almost no outward motion to them. They can also go all the way around. When you pick them up, this guy, unlike the G1, can do the splits out to there. Not the greatest. His legs can go all the way forward and all the way back. And we do have a very clear knee. So again, no waist. So it's nice to have him, but like, he's not Stormcloud. I'm going to say for articulation, I kind of thought that we would have more from the arms. I'm going to say about 4. So he was getting a 9 overall, 4 here. Overall, for Micromaster, he's about a 6. He's pretty average, but you know who his articulation is like? If you know Powertrain from the Off-Road Patrol, or you have Iron Tread from the Siege 10 pack, this guy is very similar. Like, his arms have the same sort of limitations and his legs have the same sort of mobility. So if you know what they handle like, you have a good idea of what Countdown handles like. Very average start so far, but we all know, man, that Countdown is not the star of the show. Although I will say this. As we saw in episode 600, the original Countdown came with the rocket base, or the shuttle base if you will, and I suppose they include a Countdown here because when you convert Omega Supreme to his alt mode, he really is a rocket base type of thing. Some people have said that they would love to see the Titan class Omega Supreme repainted as like an Omega Sentinel, and perhaps it could be in colors closer to this, certainly with the blue. I could see it happening, but I guess the question to ask yourself is this: do you really want to pay a Titan class price for really what is essentially a Micromaster base? I don't know if I want to do that, but I would definitely love to have a base of this size and this complexity, because as you can see, Siege countdown absolutely works beautifully even with this G1 base as well. Okay, so now that we've got countdown out of the way, we're going to move on. We're going to look at the big guy next and see where he fits into everything. And oh yeah, you can see him now in all of his glory. You can see where the blast effects are put up on his chest and over on his, I'll call it cannon arm, not his claw arm. They look great. I'm going to take them out of it though, because they were kind of just there for the purposes of showing you where they could go. And the guy's covered in locations where you can put these little like blast effects and nubs and whatnot. So warm doing this guy. He's a hefty lad. Okay, so the paint apps for this guy, in terms of him being a rendition of Omega Supreme, I'm going to say he does a pretty good job at it. Overall, I'm going to say he's about an 8. Why am I saying 8? Because of a couple of things that do throw me off. One, in terms of the silhouette for the guy, I do feel like the shoulders are a little small, and I feel like the head is slightly undersized for the rest of the body. He has yellow eyes, he has a yellow chest piece here. It's iconic that that is red, so the yellow sort of throws me off. That being said, that's about it. Really, that's the only imperfections. The only other things that I suppose you could point out if you really wanted to nitpick is that you have like kind of burn marks around places where you could put those blast effects, which I get, because the blast effects could be like, you know, you take one of these and you bring it down here and you put it in. It's, you know, it's like either a blast coming out of there, or it's a blast coming in and landing on him and kind of like burning around the edge there. So I get that, and I don't hold it against him. As a matter of fact, I think this is one case where the kind of blast effects on him help him, you know, do justice on him. The guy's covered in 5mm ports. There's ones up here on his shoulders. I already mentioned how countdown can go pegged in there. He has them here on his legs. He has them on the front of his legs. He has them up here. All of these ports can also not only be used for blast effects, but they are all able to be used to add your Micromasters, your Battle Masters, and all of your weaponizers. This guy, I mean, as if he's not a walking arsenal already, he can be so armed up, and that play value is almost endless on him. So I got to give credit where credit is due. Now, like I said, overall an 8, and that's a good start. I feel like that originally his eyes were blue, and why they got changed to this yellow, I don't know. They don't look bad. It's just Autobots have blue eyes. I'm just saying, man, just saying. There's no like lights or sounds gimmicks, so we don't need to worry about that. What about the articulation? Well, we're going to do that real quickly now. The head can go left and right. It can, like the way it is, you can almost sort of lift it up, and it can like lean forward and look down, which is an important thing for a guy of this size to be able to do. He needs to be able to look down at a lot of these smaller Autobots and Decepticons and whatnot. So taking that back out of it, the arms, they are on fairly heavy ratchets and can go forward and back. If we didn't have these wing pieces in, they could go all the way around. The wing pieces are not attached out of package, and I've heard of a few people not having them in the box. I think that's absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable. However, if you do have them, there's a little rectangular peg on, I think it's called the AIM attach method, the AIM attach method if I'm not mistaken, and there's a little notch on the back that you slide them in. I'll kind of show that later on. But the shoulders could go all the way around. They can go out on a softer ratchet, but it's still very strong. It's not falling down at all. There is a bicep swivel. There is a 90-degree elbow. All three of these claw hand pieces move. They are also hinged on a knuckle in here. They only have one hinge. Now these pieces are orange translucent plastic with like painted tips. Either you're down for that or you're not. It's simple as that. I wish that they had just had all of it be solid orange, but that's just me. That's another reason too why I say an 8, because the G1 model, they were solid orange. Okay, The other hand, by the way, is, I mean, you don't have hand or wrist articulation, but it's the exact same thing. It works just as beautifully. Okay, standing this guy up now, here. We have a nice clicky waist. It can go, I believe, all the way around, which is fantastic. When it comes to out to the side, he can do the splits 4 days. The other leg goes out just as far. And you can hear those beautiful clicky ratchets, man. Gorgeous ratchets. In terms of his legs here, forward that far, which is pretty far. Back all the way. We do have a thigh swivel also on a ratchet. We have a knee to 90 degrees. All of this beautifully molded in detail inside. And we have something that no other Titan has had yet, ankle tilts, and they help make the posing stupendous. Articulation for the guy, 10. No doubt in my mind, 10. For an Omega Supreme, I don't think there's anything else I could want from him. I really don't think there's anything else I could want from him. This guy has it all. And I guess that brings us to the transformation. But before we do that, I just want to we're going to sort of inform things now as to whether or not this guy's guilty or innocent. Because here in Canada, this Titan class figure underwent a price jump. A price jump of another $20. I don't think it happened in the United States, but it did here in Canada. So instead of being $229.99 plus tax, this guy was $249.99 plus tax, and tax here is pretty high. So that worked out to be about $288. This is a substantial investment. It really is. But how does he kind of compare with the other Titan class offerings that we've had? Because he has undergone the price hike. We have had this size class before. He is subject to guilty or innocent. Right now, he is scoring a 9 overall. Very strong. Very, very strong. Absolutely worth noting that he scales perfectly, ideally, with Titan class Devastator, his #1 arch nemesis. And while I said a long time ago, about a little over a year ago, I guess, year and a half ago, I said that I thought that some of the third-party offerings, yeah, they scaled fine with this guy. It was all right. I think this is spot on perfect. Oh boy, was this difficult to set up. I hope everybody's in frame. Okay, so here is the situation. Starting with Devastator. Devastator is the lightest of the Titan class figures. Next to him is Metroplex, who is the second lightest of the Titan class figures. Then we have Omega Supreme and Fort Max. I'll say this, both of them seem to be pretty much the same weight, and the heaviest Titan class figure is actually Trypticon. So when we compare Omega Supreme to the other ones, he falls pretty much weight-wise, mass-wise of plastic used, he falls pretty much right in the middle. I think that kind of makes sense because when you look at Devastator and Metroplex, they are the cheapest Titans. They're also the lightest. Makes sense. When you look at Trypticon and Fort Max, they're the heaviest, but they're not the most expensive until they were until we had Omega Supreme. Now, that being said, if his weight is in an acceptable parameter, why? What would cause him to have this sort of increase in price? Well, we'll address that in a little bit, but in terms of mass, he kind of falls right in line with other Titans. So we need to kind of look elsewhere to see if we can find a justification for that increase. Well, I can tell you right now that one of the things that would justify his price increase is his ability to do this with virtually no effort. That is the level of balance that this guy has. No effort. Simple to do, such a sturdy base, ankle rockers. He is weighted, balanced perfectly. He has ankle rockers. And I think that it's kind of those added touches, that added love, that does help to justify the price increase. Something else that helps justify it is that even though I said that his accuracy was an 8, we don't have any stickers that we had to worry about here. Any of the detailing that's on him is either just molded in or it's picked out with paint. Now yes, that does open the door for there to be things like label sets and whatnot for him, which is great, no doubt about it. But at the same time, any detail that we do see on him is picked out with paint, and paint beats stickers any day of the week. Ah, yes indeed, and now we hit the transformation, and we kind of have to do this in sections a little bit. First, I'm going to kind of poke down that little turret cannon piece sticking out of the back of his head, just to have it out of the way. These pieces here they just flap down, they don't really lock in anywhere. They're fine, but it's too bad that they don't really lock in anywhere. That being said, it's nice to be able to get them out of the way so that you can slide these pieces out. There's a little track right there by my finger. It's a little notch that goes in behind here. And on these tread pieces, there is a little rectangular piece right here. It just notches in right there and slides across. You pick this off, you notch that in, you push that down, and you slide this across. To get it out, you just pull it out. And when you pull it out, of course, you open it up. And that becomes one of the kind of sections that work as like stabilizers for the track piece. And we'll lay that track piece aside. We'll come to the other side over here and slide it out as well and turn it into a track piece by opening it up. Bring out the little stabilizer pieces underneath, and that's what that piece looks like. We will lay it aside as well. Okay, then I think we'll try and deal with the arms next. Now that we have that done, the arms here, you come and you can pull that whole section out. The arms are out, we'll lay those aside for now as well. Then we will come around here to the front of the big guy. And I forgot to mention this, but I'll do it now. These chest pieces, they can open up and there's molded in and painted missile detailing inside. I love that. But once we pick those pieces up, we can come here and we should be able to, you might have to wiggle it a little bit. Oh, fold this tummy piece down as well, my mistake. And now we should be able to kind of pull this whole section out. That's going to be the tank piece in a little bit. And this is really what we have left. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. In terms of preparing this piece, there's not much to prepare. You bring up the legs, you bend them at the knee. If you want, you can open this up and there's a space in there for a Micromaster, but you'll do the same on the other side so that this whole piece looks like this. Once you turn the waist around, this is what you got, and it looks like a base. It looks like a base. That's not the only thing we have to do. We have to attach the like rail sections, the what do you call it? Track sections, and it has this weird way of attaching. Now, apparently that is the way that pieces are going to be able to attach for Earthrise. And we heard discussion that apparently this was able to attach to Titan's Return figures as well. So it's both forward compatible with the Earthrise line and apparently backwards compatible with Titan's Return. And a lot of people have struggled and said, I don't see how it connects to Titan's Return, but alas, it does connect to Titan's Return. We have the pieces that look like this, and I'll try and show it. Let's get this out of the way and I'll try and show both of these attachments up closer. Okay, so over right here we have an attachment that works with the legs, really, of Omega Supreme, and apparently that's the same sort of attachment that allows different track pieces to go connected, as as well, it will be the same sort of attachment I think that's supposed to be used with Earthrise, but it's not the only attachment point we have. The other one is far more subtle, however, for Titan's return, and we need to go up right there at the top of the arc, right here. This and this, these two little pieces right here, and these two pieces in here, and on this side, that is where you attach a Titan's return connection piece. That being said, because this is up on stands and kind of elevated off the ground, the only characters who have Titan's return pieces that can reach this, and by the way, there's another one of these like on the other track piece, but the only ones that can reach it are Fortress Maximus and Grand Maximus because of their height. So these are there, but they're not very functional unless you have Fort Max and Grand Max. Okay, so before we get back to the track pieces, I thought that we would get this guy in tank mode first. It only seemed like it made sense. You know, it only seemed like it made sense to me. And we begin by folding that up, and then we can actually fold this out and this out. And we have all that kind of folded up, no problem. Then this piece here folds out. It is very tight, almost scary tight to get it out, I find. It does get easier over time, but it's still frightening. We bring that down. Now this is where you can hide the Micromaster that comes out of the ramp. We'll see that in a second. Then the whole chest piece here flips around, and then this whole cannon piece here, when this is around, this turns around. And really what you have is a gray hinge in here. It collapses and collapses again so that Omega Supreme's face hides behind that turret. We can straighten out that and that. We can close up that piece again, and we can come around here and fold that out, and when we fold it out, we can fold it all the way up to become the rest of the tank, and we bring those down on the side, and this is our tank. And while this piece here, first of all, it rolls amazingly well. It's an excellent tank for rolling. And this can go up and down, but when we try to turn it, like, you can't really turn it. I don't find you can really turn it, not to any great degree, or I wish they had handled the head better with the turret. I don't know. I get why they did what they did, but it does hurt the mobility of the turret. It's a cool tank, cool idea, but I don't think that this part of it worked out as good as it could have. Luckily, it rolls really well, and it does have the feature, if you're so inclined, by the way, you can lift those up, and it does have the feature of, if I can do it now, of course it doesn't want to. See what I mean? Like this is tight, scary tight. There. It does have the feature of being able to open like that, and if you had a Micromaster in here, it could roll out into action down here. So like that's cool, I get it. It's almost like its own little base, so that's cool, but like, I don't know. It's all right, but I wish that the turret was handled better. Easy conversion though, I'll give it that much, and it does, like I said, roll tremendously well. And then we have this odd monstrosity, and it's going to become his shuttle. Now, normally we're used to having to remove this piece of his arm and this piece of his arm to make the shuttle. Not this time around. This time around, it's something kind of different. This time around, it is the whole arm and shoulder piece. I love this. I think this is brilliant the way it was done. We straighten out the arms, and we straighten out the arms. And we collapse, and we collapse, and we extend. And I think that alone is really cool. Now, you need to orient the arms correctly. These will fold out, and this whole black hinge section down here is a little wonky to use, but it's cool at the same time. So we come down, and we bring this around like this, and it opens up, and then opens up again. Over here, same thing, it opens up, and it opens up again. We collapse this down, and I need to figure out exactly how it is now that I turn these arms. And this is something that I do struggle with. Trying to get this down. It folds around, which is genius. It's just I struggle with remembering how it is that it folds around. How is it that this goes? And after some finagling with the arms, we get this rather gigantic rocket. Yes, it does seem a little bit out of proportion for what we think of for Omega Supreme. But basically, there's a section here that has a couple of red pieces. Your shoulders are basically kind of facing in that direction. Fiddle them around, collapse this black hinge. I can't exactly tell you how to do it, but you'll know the feel when you feel it. It's not hard. It's the hardest part of the transformation, but it's not hard. Once you have that done, then we can really introduce the rest of our base like this, and we can start kind of building on the tracks. The tracks will attach here, and of course on the back, and naturally we'll just lay the tank on it, so that in the end, finally, it looks like this. And here is your end result, and it looks amazing, but kind of compact at the same time. I will point out one feature being that you can open the leg and there's a space there for a Micromaster to rest. You can have Micromasters going in both directions on the track, or a deluxe class figure, but the body, the tank that is Omega Supreme seems a little oversized for it. We can open up part of the top of the shuttle and we can put a Micromaster in there as well. I will not and cannot pretend though that I enjoy that new connection method for the track. It's not for me. Overall, the transformation has some ingenious aspects to it, and I really dig it. But it's not perfect. I did have to fiddle with the arms a little bit. And like I said, the way the track is a little bit of a nuisance, at least to me. Now, that being said, you'll also notice that the track is slightly elevated, and the Titan's Return connection points are right there and over right there. And of course, they're elevated. There's only two of them, and with them being elevated, like I said, you need to have Fort Max or you need to have Grand Max. This is a fine base mode. The transformation is great. I'm going to say it's a 9. Overall, this guy is a solid 9. Maybe even a 9.5. It's a fantastic Omega Supreme. There's no doubt about it. There's so much here to like. And the things that I don't like, for example, the connection points of the tracks, I think that's just me. You know, I think it's a fine connection. I've seen other people that, boom, they put it in and it's easy. I'm just struggling with it for some reason because I'm a butterfingers, I guess. The centerpiece of the shuttle, I think the shuttle is genius, even though I kind of had to finagle that center black hinge and those pieces with the red on them. But I think it's a genius transformation. I love the look of this base. Is it compact? Yes, but you can go to the third-party route and get extensions for the track, which honestly make it look correct, we'll say. This is really, really good, and it would be hard, honestly, to improve on it. It's hefty, it has a good transformation that is interesting, but at the same time familiar, because it's very true to what you would expect. It's very intuitive for what you would expect from Omega Supreme. No doubt in my mind. Is he guilty or innocent? Well, we have to go to our Quintesson judges for that. So as you yourselves, dear Quintesson judges, stand on the track of Omega Supreme yourselves, I ask you, when it comes to a price increase of about $20 for a Titan class figure, is Siege Omega Supreme guilty or innocent? Well, there you have it, and we have the verdict. It's innocent. Overall, this guy is a 9, and he's innocent. Now, though I don't own this guy, because this is actually on loan to me by a good friend of the channel, Cyril, I did, even though he's not a part of my Ultimate Autobot base, I did want to show him at least, before we get out of here, I wanted to show him in conjunction with our other 2 Autobot Titan bases, so that you could see how he sort of looks next to Fortress Maximus and Metroplex. And just to clue us up here, we have Metroplex in his city mode, we have Omega Supreme in his base mode, and we have kind of Fortress Maximus in his base mode. And you can see that, like, Omega Supreme, though compact, is still definitely able to hold his own. Like, he still looks big and bulky, and he fits in with these guys. We're going to go in a little bit closer just to see things a little bit more detailed. We'll start up kind of on this end, and you can see, like, Metroplex down there is a big lad, there's no doubt about it. Here we have Omega Supreme, and you will notice right there, right there, that's your connection point to the tracks of Omega Supreme with Titan's Return. It's one of 2 places to attach these bases. If you had Grand Max, you could put them on the other side where Metroplex is currently at, and I think that would look fantastic, man. Fantastic, of course. Here you can see how he looks with Fortress Maximus on. Now, again, I know that this is not quite the grandeur of the Ultimate Autobot base that I had in episode 600 with absolutely everything, but I think it's good enough to give you an idea that Omega Supreme, even though he looks compact, is not. He is big, he is bulky, he is a figure absolutely worth the title of Titan. And given the fact that he's a 9 overall and that he's innocent, I have to say, I think across the board, Siege Omega Supreme is an absolute win. And here we are once again, and here is Omega, and of course Countdown. Countdown is not the best of the Micromasters. The arms are extremely limited. He's very on par with his G1 version. Like, it's nice to include him, and it's cool how in his alt mode, Omega kind of resembles, even though the colors aren't quite right, kind of resembles that shuttle base or rocket base, whatever you want to call it. I get why they include him. It's nice because, I mean, you weren't going to release him as like a single carded figure, I don't think. All of the Micromaster packs have been 2-packs, and really, who else would you put with Countdown? So it's cool that they include him here. Nice little add-on. Granted, we have no stickers this time around, which is a bit weird, but the colors that are used and the details that are used and the beautiful paint, especially here on his tummy section, is undeniable. It's excellent. It's very, very nice. He clocks in at, a decent weight, I suppose. The joints generally feel quite good. He has ankle tilt, something that none of the other Titans have. So it's very nice, and it absolutely helps with posing. I do wish that this was red. I don't know why they chose yellow there, and I don't know why the eyes are yellow. Now, to be fair, this guy is also very good at lending himself to add-on kits. We have an LED kit for blue eyes and for his cannon section here, I think from Shockwave Labs. We even have track extensions, I think from Non-F, if I'm not mistaken. The only reason I mention those is because this guy's excellent without them, but he lends himself also very nicely to those upgrade kits. So you can kind of customize your Omega to suit your needs and tastes. He may not be the Omega for everyone, but for those who choose him as their version of Omega Supreme, I think you're going to be quite happy, whether he's guilty or innocent. Here's the thing, Omega Supreme has a few figures out now, and there's an argument to be made for all of them being either not good enough or being absolutely perfect. And this guy is no exception. He is a very strong contender, as strong as any that we could have for Omega Supreme. Probably even stronger since he is an official Omega Supreme. He's great. He really is. He's great. Maybe not perfect, but he's pretty great. And I could understand why anyone would want him. And if you are one of those people, I think you're going to be real happy with him. Side note, the way his arms transform to make the shuttle, yes, it's a long shuttle, but I think it's brilliant. I mean, the guy is destined to be a parts former, but what a different, unexpected, and interesting way to handle the arms. I love it. Probably my favorite part of his transformation. Let me know what you think about this Omega Supreme. Is he your Omega Supreme? You know I love to hear from you guys and get your opinions on these guys. As always, I thank you for dropping by and giving me some of your extremely valuable time, man. I know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, there is a donate link down in the description. Again, if you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out so very much. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. Don't ever forget that somehow, someway, each and every day you do make a difference, and I very much look forward to the next time that you and I have a visit, either in the live streams at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, the usual way, this way, right here, inside the videos.